Hey everyone! If you've been learning Japanese along with me, welcome back. If this is the first time you're viewing one of my videos, welcome. This is part 3 of my Japanese playthrough of Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, and this is how I'm handling translation in this series. As you'll see on screen, I'm translating the original Japanese directly as it appears in the game. First, I show the raw Japanese text color-coded by hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Under that, I add the Romaji reading, then word-by-word English breakdown, and finally a natural English translation. This game does support hiragana, but I've left that option turned off for this playthrough since I'm providing the readings in full. Now, if I stopped and verbally explained every single line, this video would be about 10 hours long, and nobody wants that, including me, so instead the game plays in real time, so I'll only comment on select text or when something is interesting in the game, like a weird phrasing, old-fashioned expression, a joke, dialect choice, or a line that's especially different from the original NES Famicom version. Dragon Quest III, like many RPGs, is packed with tone, casual speak, archaic language, comedy menace, and a lot of onomatopoeia manga-style sound effects. The goal here isn't just what does this mean, but why is it written this way, and what kind of feeling is Japanese trying to create. You don't need to know Japanese to follow along. If you are learning Japanese, you can pause and study the breakdowns. And if you're just here for the game, feel free to let it just run and treat the translations as guided subtitles. Also, the video description contains links to key game locations, so if you're looking for a specific point in the game, you can jump ahead or back at any time. So before we jump in, a quick recap. In Dragon Quest III, we're following the hero's journey that began with Ortega's legacy, gathering allies, traveling the world, and uncovering the forces tied to the Demon King Baramos. Along the way, we've seen how this remake keeps the original structure, but with updated presentation and some subtle shifts in tone and pacing. Last time, we defeated the thief Kandara, or Kandar in the English translation, and returned the Golden Crown to the King of Romalia. He has offered to open up the border to Portoga, where we can get our ship, but unfortunately, the door at the border is locked, and you can only pass with a magic key. We heard some rumors that there's a magic key in the desert to the south, so we have to go find that before we can continue on to Portoga. In this episode, we move to the desert region, starting with the town of Asheram, then on to Isis Castle, and finally through the Great Pyramid. This stretch is great for language because it mixes everyday NPC chatter and royal speech, myths, and dungeon narration, all using slightly different registers of Japanese. So at this point, we're back to Eliahan, just running around. You just saw me use a bunch of my items to upgrade all those seeds I'd been collecting and everything from the previous little bit of the game. Here I am about to go visit the Metal King and just turn in any of those MIDI medals that I've been collecting. Never want to hold on to those too long, because it's nice to collect the little prizes that he offers. So let's just take care of that right here and now. In English, this guy is typically known as the Mini Metal King. He starts with Yokuzo Kita, a classic heroic welcome. Well done for coming, not just welcome. Then he switches to Washa instead of Watashi, an old man first-person pronoun, and ends with the Sha, which gives him that folksy storyteller tone. Even the Oji-san is self-applied here, making him sound friendly rather than important. He's not the king, he's just a metal guy, and a bit of an old man at that. As the Metal King signs off, he reminds me how many mini medals I've collected. Ozuketa Oru literally means I am holding on to, not you have, which frames the medals as entrusted rather than owned. Using Oru instead of Iru keeps the old man tone, and Genzai makes it sound official. Like a careful record, not casual dialogue. Now that little bit of housekeeping is out of the way, I'm going to head back to Romalia, or Romalie, and we'll start making our way. One last little bit of housekeeping, I suppose, is just to make sure I get my equipment updated. I've been collecting treasure like crazy in the Tower of Champagne and all that, so I want to make sure I've got all my guys equipped with the best stuff. I'm not using the optimize option here just to give us a few more bits of dialogue and text boxes to look through as you see all the item descriptions. So we'll just take a few seconds and do that. Alright, just about done. Now to move on and start exploring the world again. To get out of this peninsula, which looks an awful lot like Italy, got to go through this little checkpoint. This did not exist in the original NES version, but it was a great place to meet with some soldiers and deepen the little bit of dialogue around the Candata quest. Now it's just something to walk through. You'll notice battles are in fast motion. So in most of my RPG translations, I do that just again to shorten the playthrough a little bit and avoid a lot of super tedious text. Key battles will be done at real time so you can see how they are. And if you went back to the first video, I do some intro battle in real time as well, so you can get a handle of what all the menus mean. But for now, we'll do them fast. Helps us keep things moving. The one thing added to this remake, as you'll see, they added all these little treasure spots throughout the world, in addition to secret areas that might include monsters we can recruit or other different treasure. So it makes it a lot more worth exploring the map than it used to be. So here's one of those secret areas. Some of them have NPCs running around. They do tend to have some nice treasure in them, so it's always worth exploring when you see one. This line has an example of that manga-style sound symbolism I was talking about. Gacha, gacha is an onomatopoeia reading for clanking or rattling metal on metal, and te that follows works like a sound like. When you see repetitive-looking katakana text in this kind of situation, it's often a clue that we're dealing with a sound effect or a description of one. He ends with ki kueta nda, which makes it feel like a casual eyewitness testimony, not a formal report, which fits an NPC sharing a rumor or clue. In this case, as with many of these secret areas, they're hinting at places where I might find a recruitable monster. Alright, and continue. We have a night beginning to fall. The day-night cycle in this game is always fun. Continue to just warp my way through all these little random battles. Makes it a lot faster to see where we end up. Little cave here. Don't need to go there now, but that will become a plot point later on. That's how we get to the Eastern lands, which correspond generally to India. So much treasure to collect. Here we have the town. Really quick before I go in there, though, I want to finish collecting it. Let me read the sign. And get that last little bit of treasure. Oh, and here's a level up. So I'll keep the level ups down at normal speed, just because oftentimes we learn spells, so it's good to see how those translate out. And the Japanese, they're not really language, they're kind of more typical just sounds. In English, we gave them more descriptive names, typically. Alright. This is actually not a bad town to visit at night, because there's some things that are different here than during the day. Most towns, that is true, but this one in particular. So let's carry on. First stop here, the theater. This guy wants to sell me on the virtues of belly dancing. Itsu mitemo means every time you see it, and saiko desu ne makes it a shared friendly opinion. This guy is using a proper non-Japanese name, Vivian, written in katakana. The chan suffix creates an affectionate tone. Gochi muite means look this way, and bi is a playful noise like teasing or trying to get attention. You see here, there's a bit of a back room with some folks hanging out. But for now, there's a blue door. I cannot open that just yet, so we're going to have to let it be and continue our exploration. Got the lady hanging out there, and we'll deal with that in a few minutes. Collecting my treasure. Always good to get more of those seeds. $7 gold. I am rich beyond my wildest dreams. This is a foundational Dragon Quest trope. NPCs often start out by asking, "Do you know?" even when it's obvious you don't, because how could you with no context or explanation? You get a simple yes or no. Saying yes usually means they explain it anyway, or will get huffy and tell you off, or even in some cases just clam up. It's a running joke across the series, and part of how Dragon Quest keeps the exposition light and playful. This NPC didn't exist in the original NES version. Monster recruiting is new in the remake, so this character is here to explain it naturally. Instead of another tutorial pop-up, Dragon Quest added NPCs who just talk to you about items and monster behavior, which keeps the teaching in-world. Translation-wise, Tsumata ite means filled with, not just has, which makes the item feel deliberately packed with scent. And yotakuru is gather toward, so monsters aren't summoned, they're attracted, which fits how the system works. And through an incredible fluke of happenstance, there's a scent bag right here. So, just in case I didn't have one, now I do. I wonder if I'll be able to use it soon. Locked door. Oh, the nighttime weapon shop. See if there's anything here. That's a good upgrade. Looks like Laius could use a steel sword. And a bunch of stuff that is either underpowered for where I'm at, or things that I don't have any classes that'll use. But let's buy this steel sword. I can afford it. And I'm never averse to having a bigger bite. The wording here is deliberately indirect. Konran seseru koto ga dekiru is can cause confusion, not a guaranteed effect. And soda marks this as reported information, like hearsay, which fits the Dragon Quest habit of explaining things as rumors instead of hard rules. Alright, let's talk to the nice lady. This is another one of the Dragon Quest tropes that has carried on, I believe, since maybe Dragon Quest II, but has continued throughout. You encounter a nice young lady in town. She offers us what in the English localization is called a puff puff, and then some kind of an interaction ensues from there. This sounds casual, but it's quietly commanding. Also makes you wonder what needs to be so private. Hitoride means by yourself, so it's immediately isolating. It ends with E, and looks like a question, but it functions more like a confirmation. The speaker already expects you to agree. This is a rare situation where the party reacts. Usually, they're just guys that follow you around. Marlon turns his back in rejection, while Laius seems titillated. Omae suki dana is a casual and familiar, almost teasing, like, you really like that stuff, huh? Kikasete kure is a friendly request, but Yona adds expectation. It sounds less like a suggestion and more like a you will tell me later. Again, while this is phrased as permission, it creates some tension. Kuraku shitemoi literally asks, is it okay if it gets dark? But paired with akari o keshite, feels like the speaker is already about the act and just wants acknowledgement. Whatever is going on here, it seems like our hero is enjoying himself. This is a long-running Dragon Quest joke. Bozu is a teasing way to address the hero that changes tone, and Puff Puff is intentionally vague. It's suggestive but never explained. The humor comes from the implication and reaction, not the description, which is how the series keeps it playful and light. It's the punchline to the Puff Puff gag. Oto-san reframes the joke immediately, and Jozu just means skilled, not explicit. Dragon Quest keeps it comedic by cutting the implication with a father reveal instead of explaining everything. Do here is checking your reaction, like, how is it? Naota Desho isn't asking for new information, it just assumes success and is looking for agreement. And Matekitene turns the whole exchange into a friendly, repeatable routine, like a regular service. The reference to neck stiffness also undermines the previous suggestive tone to keep it in family-friendly territory. As promised, Laius gets to the grilling. And apparently, that's it. No obvious descriptions there, so time to carry on. Another NPC new to this version, giving us a hint about a recruitable monster. To Omotara sets up a false assumption, like, I thought it was, but... Nanto signals a sudden twist, almost like, can you believe it? The line is structured a little to reveal a story, which is why it feels like gossip or rumor instead of a warning. Alright, I think it's time to go Betty bye. Return it to daytime so we can see what goes on in town during the day. All kinds of nice little adventures at night. But I think we've done what we can do here on that. Ohio gozaimasu. Good morning very much. Or a very polite good morning. So sunny. Yori Okina Dameji is a comparative, more damage, not double or a guaranteed bonus. And Rashi makes it sound like shared knowledge, not a rule or explanation. So the game hints that these weapons exist, but doesn't spell out the numbers or the conditions. Yokoso is a standard town greeting across Dragon Quest. It's a polite and neutral, meant to mark a location change, not really deliver information. This line is less about content and more about signaling you've arrived somewhere new. Yoro ni Nananai to sets a clear condition, unless it becomes night. And Hajimarimasen yo sounds polite but firm, like house rules being stated. This is functional dialogue letting you know the schedule, not really advancing the story. Mikakanai Kao literally means a face I don't recognize, which is a polite way of saying you're new here. And Oshiete Shiamasho sounds helpful, but also decisive, like they've already chosen to explain something. Meibutsu means a local specialty, like a trademark of the town. The kanjis literally mean name thing, what the place is recognized for. And Tenoshinde Yuke to I isn't a command, it's a gentle suggestion, setting a relaxed, welcoming tone rather than pushing the player. Yoru Shika Yetanai means it's only operating at night. Shika marks a limitation, and Undayo makes it sound like a casual local knowledge, not an official rule. So now we're just going to check out the inventory of the tool shop here. Don't think there's anything I need at the moment. Let's see what the weapon shop here has. Looks like the copper shield could potentially be useful, but not sure I need it right at the moment. Scale shield looks like that would also be a bit of an upgrade, so take that, I guess. All right. Now to this unusual little shop. This is where we're seeing some of the Middle Eastern shop tropes where barter culture is being lightly lampooned. Tomodachi here is friendly sales talk, not literal friendship. Omachi shite orimashita is very polite service-style language, and Mimasuka smoothly hands control of the shop menu without sounding pushy. Just exploring the inventory here, some actually pretty good stuff. You'll notice no prices visible. So, for anything I want, I have to ask, it seems like. But what to choose? The flame and wind earrings are actually quite useful at different points. But let's see. So that's at a shockingly high price. Oh, and I say no, it gets lower. He starts crying a little bit. And now I'm at a small fraction of the original price, but still too much for me right now, so I don't have money. But that's the trick with this guy. Ooh. And here we've encountered that monster everybody was talking about. But I smell too human-like, so scared him off and he ran away. Bakari means nothing but, so this sounds like mild self-pity, not a complaint. And Hataraku Shikenai frames bargaining as the only option left. Resigned but realistic. It's more of a muttered internal dialogue rather than a direct discussion with my character. So now that my exploration of Ashram is complete, let's head back to the field and follow all these rumors about this desert country to the southwest. And of course, a few more battles, a little more exploring, probably another treasure or two. Always need a Shamir's wing. A lot of what you pick up in the field is what might be referred to as vendor trash, because I can't think of any reasons why I would need 3 copper swords or some of the stuff that you end up with. Just a good way to have some things to sell off. But occasionally there's something really good, especially in the more difficult to reach ones. Like you'll see up there, there's that little mesa that is inaccessible right now. Inventory is definitely getting loaded up. This is purely navigational text. Konoseki means this ahead or just ahead, and the directions are listed without verbs. It's map language and not dialogue, meant to be read quickly and understood at a glance. Isis to the southwest, the pyramid due west. And indeed, we are now in the desert. Seemed a little dry in Asheram, but we're taking it to a new level here. The desert is vast, plenty to explore. And more treasure, of course. And we have a nice poison swamp. And a shrine in the middle of it. Not too much I can do about stepping in that right now. I don't really have my step guard abilities or anything yet. Apparently I need to find the proper entrance. At least they don't damage me too much. So here we are, the desert shrine. And a very friendly old man hanging out in here. More mini metal. Always gotta love that. Oh, a naughty encyclopedia. Figures the old man living by himself would have that. Nemuru Tokiku frames this as hearsay, something you've heard but not confirmed, and Shikashi sharply pivots the line, signaling an interruption or a complication. Mazu cuts off mid-thought, clearly setting up the next task before the key itself. And here we have the lovely castle town. In the original version, it was actually kind of invisible. You'd see the little oasis, but you had to actually walk into it to find the town. The map itself did not show it. It's a little more of a hidden spot. But I guess in this version, they decided that it should be grand and super visible. This fellow likes to hang out in the graveyard at night. Chuchi Nikairu is a poetic way to say return to the earth. Izurewa places this in the distant future, not immediately, and Desna turns it into a shared reflection, not a warning or threat. I guess he just likes to have morbid thoughts in the cemetery and contemplate the ephemeral nature of life. Now we have the second battle arena here in Isis, but right now I'm not quite in need of anything there, so we'll just carry on. I always seem to end up in my towns at night, but since you got to explore them in both, why not do it now? The ra-ra-ra-ra indicates this is sung dialogue, not normal speech. The rhyme and repetition makes it feel like a jingle. And it directly links the item effect Subiyasa Agaru with emotion instead of explaining like a stat window. We get a agility boost, but it's something special. Well, yeah, sounds friendly, but this is actually a soft refusal. Hoshinoka ne acknowledges what you want without offering it. In Dragon Quest, this is kind of phrasing often signals, I hear you, but not right now, usually because the shop isn't open. We found another one of the friendly monsters. This time it's my footsteps that are the problem, not the smell. So I can only approach them if I can find a way to mask those footsteps. Also, having a monster tamer gets rid of all those effects. If you have one of those in your party, you can get anybody anytime. This is another new NPC that we didn't have in the original. He's telling us about a hidden spot where we might pick up some treasure. Tsukuratende sets a casual excuse, like, since I was tired. Itai ni shita means took a rest, but not a full sleep. And Geroyo trails off, clearly setting up something unexpected to happen next. Socrates, or Socrates in this version, is an interesting named NPC that doesn't really have a plot function. He's just here to remind us that the game has a day-night cycle, and that the towns function differently at night and during the day. Koshite means like this, referring to his current state. Yoru ga akaru no omate imasu is very literal and calm, just waiting for dawn. The phrasing is static on purpose, giving this character a quiet, patient presence. The action here is in the word shiteru. Shiteru is a casual form of shiteiru, the ongoing action form. That tells you that this is happening right now, not something she already did. A teru ending is a quick way to spot present in-progress actions in casual speech. And now that we've finished taking a look at the town at night, let's have a little snooze and check it out during the daytime. Here we have another interesting tense for Japanese verbs. Makachimeta comes from makate, shimata, which marks a completed result with regret. That tells you the loss already happened and that the speaker isn't happy about it. When you hear chimata, it's usually past tense plus frustration or disappointment. This time we have the less casual version of Te-Iru. Osamete Iru is an ongoing state form showing who currently rules the country. It's not past or future, it describes a continuing situation. In lines like this, Te-Iru often signals a role or status that's in effect right now. Tsukuta is a plain past tense, made or founded. Combined with imawaneki, it clearly places this in the past. When a verb ends with ta, like this, the action is finished, and the result remains. Got some new stuff here in the weapon and armor shop, so let's just peruse a bit. Looks like there are some potential upgrades. This anti-magic staff looks good, iron sword. Don't have a huge amount of money sitting on right now, though, so gotta choose wisely. Man, everybody can benefit from this iron helmet. Quite a bit from where I'm at right now, so maybe we'll do that. Well, that didn't entirely spin me down. So I can afford another one, so let's do that. Always good to have my soldier a little better defended, so let's call that good and move on. Yoboreru is a passive form, meaning is called, not they call it. That keeps the focus on the name itself and not who named it. Haru Soda marks this as reported information, not first-hand knowledge, and Niwa sets the location as the topic. As for the Northern Desert, this is what exists there. And now we have the tool shop. Seems like there's a few new things here, including a few accessories. I'm pretty broke, though, after buying all those helmets. I think maybe I will just not buy anything here at this time. Monomo oi means many of them, not all of them. That phrasing deliberately avoids absolutes. Benkan na is an adjective describing sensitivity as a trait, and dena gives us this explanatory conversational tone, like sharing practical advice, not stating a rule. Nodoga kawaita describes an ongoing condition, being thirsty, not a single action, and a pause with the ellipse lets the thought trail naturally. And osoroshi koto is an exclamatory noun phrase, not a full sentence, used to emphasize emotion rather than give information. I think we've done most what we need to do here, so make our way over to the castle now. The bard didn't have much to say there, I guess. And here we go, a couple guards. Definitely a friendly place. They don't seem to be telling me to behave or any of that stuff that guards often do in front of a castle. So let's start off by exploring back here. This is definitely a holdover from the original, with this secret underground basement. You may remember the character that was discussing the meteor bracelet. Can't visit Isis without collecting that. Alright, so just a little loop down here. So somehow, nobody else could find this mysterious basement, but I think this treasure chest looks very inviting, so let's open it. Nothing bad will happen. Oh, there's the meteor bracelet. Now that I have that, let's carry on. Oh, what's happening? We have a visitor. Samashta is the past tense. The waking already happened. The no-wa construction pulls that action to the front for emphasis, like, as for who woke me. Ending with ka makes it a question, but the tone is accusatory, not curious. Kojiki da na is an evaluative statement, judging character, not action. Dose means anyway, signaling resignation before the decision. And yo no naimona is a noun phrase, not a sentence, implying dismissal. Something I no longer need. So, meteorite bracelet in hand. Time to make our way back to the surface and see who we can meet in this castle. We've heard rumors that there is a beautiful queen here. See how true that is. This guy is in for some disappointment. I'm not sure this bracelet was that hard to find, though, so clearly he didn't want it that badly. Aru Toiu marks the reported information, said to be, not confirmed. Sagashite Iru is the ongoing action form, showing that the search is still in progress. Together, this tells you he's actively looking for the bracelet, and he's only heard about it, not something he knows for sure exists. So since I do have this legendary item, and it is actually really good at making my characters go fast, it's never a bad thing to have your healer take the first turn when things are going rough. So let's get it put onto Pierre, and hopefully see that he gets to take turns first most of the time. Arishita Kita is a triple verb, literally meaning travel, do, came. He combines movement with completion. It means you came after traveling, not just that you travel. Mukik kate imas shows ongoing state that is started but isn't finished yet, starting to peel. Together, the verb forms tell you that this just happened recently and the effect is still visible. This line sets a welcoming ceremonial mood. Tagomashi frames the party as physically impressive, which fits Isis cultural values. Kudasaru elevates the queen above the speaker, and Koto Desho keeps it indirect and polite. Overall, social approval is being granted. The party has been sized up and accepted.
Ubutsu ni Yoroto frames this as old records or traditions, not eyewitness knowledge. Arurashi keeps the information uncertain. These traps are rumored, not confirmed. And Kotana is rough spoken advice, giving this the feel of a warning passed down, not an official report. This line pushes the guard's devotion to an extreme, almost theatrical level. Temenare Shineru frames loyalty as unconditional, not a plan, just a feeling. Repeating Jo-sama turns it into fixation, not a duty. It really does add the mood that these guards and everybody that we've talked to have just an unwavering loyalty to this queen. She must be very awesome. This is a childish puzzle language. Manmaru and Ohisama make the mechanism sound friendly and visual. Mawasaba is clear condition, if you spin it. The rhyme and repetition make this feel like a hint you're meant to remember. Now we finally get to meet this queen everyone's been talking about. Hometatairu describes constant praise from others, but the queen distances herself from it. Hitotoki no Utsukushisa frames beauty as temporary, and Nani Narumisho isn't really a question, it's rhetorical. She's questioning the value of admiration itself, not asking for reassurance. This is a warning with official weight, not a rumor. Kiken Natochi sets a serious tone of danger immediately. Taiko ni Tsukurareta pushes the danger far into the past, giving it consequence and mystery. And Nokota Emas shows the threat is still present. These traps aren't history, they're active to this day.
This is another example of exaggerated court loyalty. Wagajo-sama is a possessive and reverent, claiming the queen is our ruler. Nato Aramasanu is a formal and absolute, denying fear entirely. The tone isn't realistic, it's ceremonial devotion, meant to reassure, not to assess danger. Now we have the little room behind the court. Not a lot to do here. I think there might be one little hidden treasure somewhere, if I recall, but nothing major. There we go. Special herb. And with that, I believe our first little visit here into Isis is complete. It's nice that they give us this little shortcut. That existed in the original as well, although it took us all the way out to the map, I believe, if I did that, rather than just the little shortcut. So everybody says head north for the pyramid, so north we will go. Of course, collecting treasures and things on the way. Fancy stuff here. Those rocks look suspiciously like they could be one of their secret areas. And I believe all these level ups are getting me pretty on track. Dragon Quest III has always been a game where you have to level just so. Enough so that even the manual came with a whole level guide and walkthrough. Blizzard is so rich with treasure. Starting to look like a pyramid to me. And if we weren't sure, the label confirms it. These little panels in the middle are kind of traps that will drop me into the basement. Much more conspicuous in this version than they were in the original. There is a treasure down there, Golden Claw, but it is a pain in the butt to get, because basically you get hit with monsters pretty much every step while you're holding it, and I don't really want to deal with that. And unfortunately, I hit a rather rough encounter there, so let me do a bit of recovery real quick here before we resume. Also haven't saved for a bit, so never a bad idea to do that. Now that my healer's back, I can hopefully use him to heal the rest rather than having to spend all my money. Alright, back to tip-top shape. Now let's just head back to the pyramid. I'll do it nice and quick. No need to rewatch all of that. I gotta get whatever other treasures there are waiting for me here. I always found early on the magic water doesn't really do a lot for me, but later on it becomes pretty handy. Oop. And now we have our first canna box. And our second one is trying to teach me a lesson about digging into those treasure boxes too willy-nilly. This game does have a spell that would allow me to see if it's a trap box or not. I have to admit, I was never really big into using that, even in the old version, because it kind of wastes your MP. And I'm just that kind of guy that I want to beat up all the cannon boxes anyway. Can't stand leaving treasure chests closed. Fortunately, I seem to be handling the battles a little better than that first one. Getting quite the seed collection. I think soon I'll have to go through and use them all up. I would normally do it in real time, but going through menus takes time and a lot of work, so I'm trying to consolidate it a bit when I'm doing it this way. All right. Kind of handy that this game restores all your MP when you level up as well. Oop. Speak of the devil, I was just getting worried my healer was getting a little light on the MP. Empty. No fair. I don't know why somebody would take that treasure, but not the one beside it. Starting to get a bit of a mini medal collection again already. Alright, up to the next level. This is where all of those children's songs about buttons start to come into play. Oh, hello, little girl. What are you doing here? getting a repeat of that song we learned in ISIS with a bit of a giggle. When suspicious characters like that emerge, it's worth coming back and chatting with them with the Mirror of Ra once you have it, because chances are it's a monster that you're going to want to recruit. Onward and upward. Alright, so now we got to do these buttons in the right order. Which was not this. So with that little gaff, I've got to go back up. Man, my hero here is taking a beating. Alright, let's try this button thing again. Level 18. Right. That was some success. And even more success. The big heavy door should now be out of my way. Ooh, what's that? The treasure chest seems to be guarded. In the original game, this was a very boss-light RPG. So once you got through this wall, you could just open the treasure chest, get the key. But we've changed that all up now. Apparently, Baramos has sent some minions to guard certain things, including this key. So we're now going to have to deal with the Nile Demon and his mummy's eyes. I'll let this battle play out in real time, because it's a bit more of a boss battle. Or to have at least one of these a video, perhaps. So, let's have at it. It's getting a little grim. Ouch! That hurt. Oh, well, that was about as close as it gets. Unfortunately, Elias went down, so guess he doesn't get the experience. Pierre having they leveled up and some fresh new MP and a new spell, we can get everybody patched up.
人間がこれほどの強さを魔王バロモス様のお言葉通りこの鍵を渡すわけには
No, the Demon King.
さあ我々の敵は
Boss Troll. That's ominous. When am I going to encounter Mr. Boss Troll? But no matter. The Nile Demon is no more. And the magic key! Yay! Alright, so now I'm heading back to Isis. A few more things to look at here real quick. Stay back at full strength. See if I can use this magic key now to go anywhere new. Maybe pick up a few little trinkets. Apparently nobody's changed their tune here. Thank you, McQueen. So there is one more thing to do in the pyramid. So let's just go and do that. Just a little scan to see if there's anything new. Doesn't look like it. Alright, let's get ourselves back up the pyramid. Again, we'll do this in fast mo. No need to be super repetitious. All right. We're back up here in the magic key room. But we can go higher yet. Alright, here's another thing that was added. All this extra treasure. I guess they felt they needed more mysterious traps. Gets a little repetitive, but there's some good stuff here. The phrase dokokara tomonaku means from nowhere in particular, removing any clear source. Kikoru is a passive perception. You hear it, but you're not choosing to. Together, this phrase creates unease by denying both location and control, signaling an impending encounter rather than information. This is an accusatory declaration, not a question for information. Arasu mono wa dare da frames the intruder as already guilty. Using mono as a generic person instead of you depersonalizes the target, making the voice feel authoritative and hostile, like a judgment being pronounced. Some of these guys are pretty good for experience. And gold. So I guess it's worth taking out a few of these mummies' eyes. But this does go on and on as we get all these treasures. So let's just finish rounding them all up. mummy eye down. And we finished the little treasure loop. Alright, now we're back to what the original game had, including this little treasure here. So I could go to the basement, grab the golden claw, and I guess now that you can warp without having to walk out of the dungeon, maybe it's a little less of an intense thing to grab. It's worth a fair bit of gold, but I think I'm going to just leave it be for now, in the interest of time. And here we are up on the pyramid top. Nothing to do but take a little leap down. Well, those stairs look like they could have hurt. And that was a long fall. The party seems undisturbed. I haven't really explored the western edge of the desert, so let's see what else we have out here. Imagine that, a little more treasure. Lucky me. Another little secret oasis. Oh, it looks like there's a monster there. One that actually doesn't just run away. He's a brave little monster. Now I have a heel slime on my team. These desert beasts are not quite so troublesome now that I've leveled up some more. And now that it's nighttime, I can return to Isis and do a few more things. The magic key here does us a little more good at night than it does during the day. For 2 reasons, in fact. See the 3 little locked doors here? So during the day, there's guards sitting here in front of these treasures, saying no, even if I have the key. But at night, I guess they feel the door's good enough. Little do they know. Alright, treasure room, you have been looted. A peaceful little water garden. And one more treasure room. Mini medal. Look at all this good stuff. All right, there was use number 1. Probably. But let's see what happens if I sneak up here. The queen has all her maids just sleeping on the floor. Looks cozy. Well, she has this nice lavish bed. Can't have false rumors of a man in the queen's room. Ooh, I like gifts. Let's search away. Ooh, and you see the little sparkle showing up. What is it? What is it? What is it? A life ring! Cool. Now one more little tour during the day. I think there's somebody gonna hang out in that empty garden area that I might want to chat with. Or I might not. Can't totally remember, to be honest. Alright, there's a gentleman back here in the water garden. Tsukidara is plain past tense, quietly marking someone who's no longer there. Aniu is respectful and intimate, not casual, so brother upper is kind of what that means, or elder brother. And Koshite anchors the memory to the present moment, like he's reenacting it. The line isn't giving information, it's really sharing loss through recollection. And now, we should probably go around and see what we can do with the magic key before we move on. So there should be lots of places where we can use it. Here I'll start with Asheram. You know, there was a couple locked doors here. And here we have another old man. Looks like it might be the brother. Yuki Niwa sets a condition in order to go. Dakiga shite iru toyu layers a restriction in hearsay, so access is limited and uncertain. And toru shikanai removes alternatives completely. The line closes off the idea that there might be other options beyond that single solution, making this feel like a hard world rule, not a suggestion. The dwarves' secret tunnel is the only way to head east. A little more wandering about. Forgotten about this guy. But he's just going to run away again because he keeps smelling my humanity. Oh well. Might be cool to see what I can buy here, too. Now that I actually have a little bit of cheese on me. I really think these flame earrings and wind earrings are good for boss fights. When they just spam you with crazy elemental spells. These actually do make quite a difference. Wind, fire, wind, fire. What should I start with? Alright, so I know his game. I'm not going to pay that. I'm not going to pay that either. And this is about as low as he's going to go, so let's do it. Okay, so now I do have some scent bags, so let's see if I can use that to recruit this guy, so I stop just running into him all the time. There it is. Remember, when I'm doing this, I don't have the translations, so it takes me still a little slower at reading them. Okay. Foot bag in the bag. Now, not too much left to do here. Just visit the theater and that little secret back room we saw before. However, I have to do it at night because the dude's just doing his little rehearsal stuff during the day. So this is a new feature also, the ability to choose what time of day we're going to launch at. The inns traditionally just brought you to the morning, and that was that. You had to have the, what's it called? There's a spell for day-night that you can use, and then there's an item that will cause it to become night that you get later. I think it was like a lantern or something. All right, theater's happening. Let's go in the back room here. This lady's speech is full of uncertainty. Japanese at the best of times isn't the most direct language. Nandamo signals hearsay right away. Apparently, or I hear. Arute is casual quoted information, not certainty. Together, the line feels like a rumor passed between travelers, nudging you towards a location without guaranteeing anything. So on to the next location now that we've done all the blue key doors in Ashram. The theme there is all the folks locked behind the blue doors were nudging us towards the east, which I can't go until apparently I somehow get the King of Portoga and this dwarf, Norad, to agree to let me through. Fortunately, I already have business in Portoga, since that's what I was literally getting the magic key to do, because I need a ship there. So how the ship and going east are related is not yet clear. Couldn't remember if we had a blue key door here in Knave. I'm not seeing one, so I'm thinking I'm probably okay here. Maybe I can move along. Good old Romalia. Or Romalie. Castles always have treasure rooms. There's one door right there. Boom. Apparently somebody just likes to lie down and stare at the stars. And yet another nudge towards Portoga. We kind of already knew we were going there for a ship, but I guess a little confirmation or reminder isn't the worst thing that the game could do. All right, down this little basement. I always forget this here. Oh, here's the treasure room, but it's a key I do not have yet. Okay, well, that's Romilly. So let's go back just a little further. Probably Aliahan would be the next one to take a look at. Pretty sure they had a treasure room in there too. And been collecting all these extra mini medals, so don't need to hold on to those forever. And of course the castle's closed at night. Don't want thieves carrying magic keys coming around and stealing stuff. Good old mom there, ready to usher me in and set me up with a good night's sleep. And of course, companions are welcome. Okay, now that the castle's actually open, scanning the map, looking for those little locks. There we go. This guard is expressing his loyalty to Ortega, and by extension his son. Nanio shio to means no matter what you do, setting a broad condition. Mite mino furi is an idiom, pretending not to see, not literal blindness. And shio is volitional, so it shows a deliberate choice. The line isn't exactly permission, but it's willful non-interference, creating a moral distance rather than approval. Now, on the way back to the well, turn in these mini medals. Quite the place to set up shop, I think. Ooh, what are we gonna get? Can't wait to see it. A rare ring. Sure get a lot of these. It was kind of a rare item in the original version, but they're just peppered all over the place in this one. Just a reminder, you can use them to restore your MP, and you can sort of use it, but it's got a chance of breaking every time you use it. So I think typically you get maybe 3 or 4 cracks at it, but sometimes it's 1. Sometimes they can go a while. Just depends on how lucky you are. All right, one more spin around Ramalia. Just need to quickly visit the bank. If I'm going to go to a new place, Tortuga, I want to have my cash available because I don't know if there's a bank there. Time to start exploring again. Another pass through the Romalian Road. Oh, the pesky enemies. Alright, we visited the border post once before in the last video, but there was only so many things we could do here because we did not have the magic key. The guard continues to just give us a little explanation. So now we're in new territory. So there's a door that we can't deal with yet. And here we are on the other side. No attendants over here. So I guess the Portugans don't particularly feel the need to guard their border. See the Tower of Champagne off in the distance. So now we're in the part of the world that would generally correspond to Spain, in the Iberian Peninsula. Ooh, more earrings. So I've got fire, water. We'll need to get wind eventually. Nope. And another monster that also doesn't like human sense. So if I go out and come back in, I can apply my scent bag again and hopefully recruit them. Go all musky once again. Boom! New magic user in the bag. All right, just a little bit more mucking about in the bushes here as I make my way to Portoga. But this is a good point, I think, to transition from this one to video 4. So if you've been enjoying this or finding it useful at all, remember to like and subscribe, and please keep an eye on this and other video games that I've been doing walkthroughs. I have a few little language tutorials as well on the channel that I hope you can enjoy. And hopefully you've had fun exploring with me and learning a bit of Japanese at the same time.